Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. And we're zooming in and focusing in to help you assist to become more empowered. And to really do this today by looking at what is disempowering. And what is oftentimes a very common comment or question that I get in is that I have been in this funk for so long. I have been feeling this for years, for the duration of my relationship, the duration of my life, the duration of today. How do I get over this funk? And when we look at suffering for an inordinate amount of time, in other words, it just is prolonged sadness, grief, anxiety, depression, or being or feeling disempowered or shame-based in your identity or your relationship. Oftentimes it is due to triggered emotional patterns. So emotional patterns can be triggered or elicited and then just set up to go over and over and over again, like the replaying of a record. And we call this basically emotional patterns, meaning that they take place, if A, then B, if B, then C, if D, then F. So it becomes very predictable in nature. It has a pattern, just like if you were to look at, a pattern in a pine cone, it would have a certain geometric shape. Fibonacci's circle. If you look at a spiral in one of those shells, it has a pattern. If you look at the rings of a tree, when it's been cut, it has a pattern. It has a certain pattern of growth that is programmed or designed or like a blueprint or a template to that. So we call this emotional patterns. So, and trigger, meaning there's a stimulus and there's a response. If there's an A, then there's a B. It becomes very predictable and very scientific. And so when we look at emotions, which are energy in motion, you are also on this automatic pattern-like reaction. In other words, this makes me happy, this makes me sad, this makes me angry, and then this makes me. There's a trigger, a stimulus, and response. So in looking at the science of it, when we look at being, suffering for an inordinate, meaning extraordinary amount of time, it is because this emotional pattern, which is unhealthy, is being repeated over and over and over again. In other words, there has been no pattern interrupt, which is what we discuss here on the channel, the pattern interrupt, with how to interrupt or, dissolve or disrupt this pattern. So for example, my passion is new product development. You disrupt the marketplace. Here comes this very innovative product, which no one, which is different, unique. It has a wow factor. It, improves the quality of the consumer experience. I've done taglines. I have done new product development, which, has been engineered and made into mass market. So involved in what we call, market disruption. Like that is new, that is innovative, that has not been done before. So it is really that innovation, that pattern interrupt, that disrupt, that market disruption that I hope and work and focus to have you experience in your own life, in your own emotional repertoire, in your own emotional bank. In other words, an emotional disruption. So rather than having those same emotional patterns triggered in response and reaction with which you experience, you all of a sudden don't, wow, this is different. Wow, this is a new me. Wow, I have never felt this way. I've never reacted this way or not reacted this way before. I have never been this decisive before. My life has a new routine. So in other words, it's thrusting yourself. It is disrupting the pattern of the I am and I feel and I react to have a whole nother light, a whole nother color, a whole nother design, a whole nother pattern, which then puts you into the quantum field, and then neuroplasticity. So your body is now shifting the energy. Your you're feeling different, you're becoming different. It's a state of becoming. Just like this areolis behind me is, taking on a new life from this bulb into this. Your life is the new. It's like a new blossoming. It's a new evolution that's just shooting out from you because you've disrupted the pattern. So to disrupt the pattern, you have to know what the pattern is. You have to know that there is a pattern. So we're really breaking it down. We're really dissecting this. We are really, as they say in many markets, we are dissembling this. I mean, you have to be able to take it apart to know the part. So you have to know that there's a pattern to you. There's an automatic pilot. So that's why I've said in previous videos, we have to use that subconscious area to change in the program. So you have to become aware of the fact that there is an automatic pilot within you, an automatic pilot feel, an automatic feel within you. In other words, you see this and then that. You see this and then that. In other words, you see the narcissist before and you were attracted, or you were, enamored with this person. That's what you were attracted to. Or drinking, or like with an alcoholic, they see the bottle and then it's tip. I mean, they can't stop the guzzle. That is automatic pilot. It's becoming aware of and, getting into that automatic and then doing a pattern interrupt. So for example, I recommend, and in the book that I'm working on, I talk about this in the exercise of free will. So just exercising that free will helps you to break up that unhealthy emotional pattern which has been set up in you. And then using body language, using the I feel and I am in becoming. And the minute you change your body. So for right now, for an example, if you notice your body and your body posture, are you, scrunched up? Are you, hunched over? Do you have a blanket? What is your body posture? That, and how are you breathing? How is your heart beating? It is becoming aware of this automatic pilot. Well, take a moment and just stretch for a moment and stretch and, lift your hands up to the ceiling and say, yes, I am. In the way you feel, do you feel a little bit of tingle? Do you feel how your body physiology changes just by reaching your hands up in the victory pose? Like Amy Curdy, I think is her name, in the TED Talks, she talks about how your physiology changes. Many other experts talk about the importance of your body language as well. And so this is a way to engage in the pattern interrupt. But the emotion and the emotements, and we talk about scheduling in your feelings, you're now taking control of those feelings. So I am a clean slate. I am a tabula rasa. I am open to the divine. I am having sacred moments. And you're scheduling this in and breaking up the automatic trigger, struggle emotions. So in other words, an example, a very common trigger is one of loss. Either I lost the keys, I lost my phone, I lost my job, I lost my happiness, I lost my being empowered, I lost my I am, I lost my identity. Their loss is a huge trigger of grief and shame. Can be set up in these very, very moments when you're feeling like you are not equipped or you're not empowered. So being empowered is a whole different state of being versus triggered negatively, anxiety, depression, the I'm nots. And so, it is learning these patterns of how, and then breaking the pattern, breaking the cycle. Breaking, an example of this would be, I lost the keys. Rather than freak out, flip out, throw the cushions everywhere, beat yourself up, I'm so stupid, rather than entering into that, it's, in that fight or flight, entering into a state of calm. Okay, no problem, I got this. No problem, I got this. It doesn't mean I'm stupid, retarded, irresponsible. It is just a common experience that people will lose their keys. Just like now you have to, say, okay, no problem. Do I have a spare key? Okay, got it. No big deal. No big loss. It's coming into a calm body. So right at that illicit moment, that what we call almost like an emotionally pregnant moment where you're going to give birth to this negative reaction, step back. No, I am calm. I'm at peace. I'm inspired. I'm good. I'm intelligent. I got this. I'm now engaging my intelligence here. I am now taking care of myself. I'm now becoming the way that I want to in grace handle this. So rather than freaking out, and screwing your face, as they say, do not screw your face. Do not enter into anger. Do not enter into self-sabotage. I'm so stupid. Realize it is okay, and then engage in an empowered experience. So I'm going to call the best key guy, and he's going to give me some great advice. I'm now going to learn from this experience and profit and benefit from this experience. I'm going to get a spare key. I'm going to help others to tell them how they can get a spare key, whatever it is. But now we're talking about emotional patterns. And then instead of engaging in the regular predictable patterns that you go into, it's now doing a pattern interrupt and then disengaging what your expectations are or what you usually do, automatic pilot. I usually launch into anger, anxiety, depression. No, I'm not entering into that pattern. I'm doing a pattern interrupt. That's why the pattern interrupt, I recommend scheduling and getting your Sharpies. And we talk about, if you don't have your Sharpies and your new appointment book, we're going to be talking about this in future videos, but you're actually scheduling in times to enter into the feeling states, the be states, the I want states that you desire but have had a problem entering into because it's been so deeply ingrained, like a huge, if you've ever seen those like huge trucks with the huge tractor grid wheels. I mean, those wheels must weigh a ton themselves, and the groove in there is like, it just has this traction which can handle any huge rock. It can handle any huge boulder. It can go up and down. It's designed. It is ingrained. Those automatic emotional triggers. If you've been suffering for a prolonged period of time, that is what is like the groove. That's the way it's formatted in your body. And so you need to basically take those old wheels off, take that old pattern off completely and say, okay, I need a whole nother traction. I need a whole nother emotional tread. I need a whole nother traction in what they call emotional ruddering, where I've got a rudder and I can design and navigate, the currents of my emotions differently. So I rudder here to the right and I go up in happiness. I rudder up, over here to the left, and I'm handling this more intelligently. I'm now filling my mind with books that I'm reading, experiences that I'm taking in. I am now scheduling these in and building them in and repatterning. So I'm doing a pattern interrupt. So, it's as if, you have an automatic, it's taking a totally different turn. Like, just try it when you go to the grocery store. Normally you go to the right. See what happens when you go to the left and say, you know what? I'm going to go to the left and this is going to be amazing. I am trying a new viewpoint and it's not going to hurt me. It's not going to scare me. In fact, it's going to create a much better empowered experience. And I'm going to go against my usual grain. I'm going to go against my usual negative emotional grain. And I'm going to feel happy. And even if I have to kind of force it in the beginning, I'm actually just reformatting, reprogramming my emotional computer. I mean, your emotional real estate. Everything that's in there, however you want to define it, it is very strong. And it really will help you to feel, enter into the space of creativity, which is the quantum field, and giving your body, mind, soul, and emotions a chance to experience and take on a whole new experience, and then feeling for yourself and feeling of personal power. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.